Welcome to the Weekly Roar, coming live from the Lion's Den, helping new managers become great leaders and awesome bosses. And now, here's your host, Greg Storch.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Weekly Roar. Hey, I'm glad to see you back in the Lion's Den for this week's watch party. It's great to have you all back here. Today, I'm talking about another concept in the foundations of leadership. But before I get started, for those of you who may be watching this for the first time, maybe you don't know who I am, let me introduce myself. I'm Greg Storch, and my business is called Lion Enterprise. It's a leadership development and coaching business where I'm placing my focus on helping organizations develop positive work cultures. I'm a certified professional coach and also a certified speaker and trainer. We had a great topic last week as I continued my series called Follow the Leader: Concepts in the Foundations of Leadership. I spoke about how important it is for leaders to connect with their followers on an emotional level, how we should find that common ground and improve our relationship. So when it's time to ask them for a hand, they'll willingly give it because you've already touched their heart. I even gave out an exercise to some of the participants if they wanted to try connecting or reconnecting. And I hope I find stories of their efforts in the Lion's Den Facebook group page. If you've done that exercise yourself, give us feedback. How did it go? Now, if you couldn't make it into the Lion's Den for the Weekly Roar last week, don't worry about it. All you have to do is jump over to my website at www.lion-enterprise.com. Click on the Lion's Pride Library up at the top of the page. You'll see all of my videos there. Now, I cannot wait to jump into this week's topic, and I'm calling this concept Better Together. It reminds me of a quote by Mother Teresa who said, "You can do what I cannot do. I can do what you cannot do. Together, we can do great things." You know, a few weeks ago, I spoke about how leaders attract people not by the types of people they want to attract, but by the type of person they are. Like attracts like. And I also mentioned how important it is that we ensure we don't hire an entire team of people who are just like us. We have to have diversity. Why? Because we aren't perfect in everything. Heck, we're not even perfect in anything, honestly, because there is no such thing as perfection. And it's important to staff your team with people who are going to bring strength where you're weak. That makes a well-rounded team. So here's the concept. It's absolutely critical for us to surround ourselves with the right people, specifically those you would consider as part of your inner circle. Surround yourself with the right types of people and your leadership potential will increase. I learned a very simple yet very valuable lesson early in my Navy career. I was a very young enlisted sailor when I was awarded my first personal decoration, the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. The citation that came with that award spoke to the major accomplishments and the improvements that resulted from my actions. After the award ceremony, I was reading back through the citation and I realized that the things that were written there, all of those accomplishments that were highlighted, they really weren't the results of the efforts of myself. They were also the results of the sailors that I was leading at that time. They all had contributed to that success, but as the leader, I was the one who was recognized for it. So that lesson early on was very valuable. The military recognizes the leaders for accomplishments, but every single recipient of those personal decorations, I swear they will tell you they didn't do it on their own. And that is the valuable lesson I learned at a very young age. We don't accomplish much, if anything, in life without the help of others. Sure, there's things we can get done on our own. I'll give you that. But when you have the assistance of others, you increase the potential of realizing greater results because of that. That must be where the saying, two heads are better than one, comes from. It's true. So why is this concept so important to us as leaders? Because at the end of the day, as the leader, we still have to perform and deliver. How well we do that is really influenced by those we surround ourselves with. So it's important to select your inner circle wisely. And here is where we have to get intentional with our actions. And you all know how much I love intentionality. The reason we need to become intentional about those we spend most of our time with is because if we don't get intentional about it, we'll tend to attract the people that we like and feel comfortable around. Approaching our inner circle without thought and intention leaves us open to the risk that those we attract and influence us may not be the same ones who can help us reach our potential. As Yoda once said, choose wisely you must. Let's go back to the lesson I learned in the Navy many, many moons ago. I learned that nobody achieves anything great in life without the assistance of others. Nobody does it alone. If you're doing it by yourself, then you aren't really leading anyone, are you? No. Do you need to do an inventory of your inner circle? Maybe you need to start all over again. Or maybe you're just beginning to form your inner circle. Regardless of where you might fall in that spectrum, here are a few litmus tests to run on the people that you're either going to put in your inner circle or on the people you already have in your inner circle. First of all, check to see if they influence others like you influence others. It's good to have the influencers of a group on your team and in your inner circle, because leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So having the influencers in your inner circle will expand your own ability to exert influence. Understand where they have influence and use your knowledge of who they influence to help navigate your own path as a leader. One false move and you could step on a landmine, but knowing where they're buried will ensure safe passage. And influencers can tell you where the mines are buried. Now, last week I told you about my former ops manager and how she had the ability to connect with the teams on an emotional level. That increased her ability to influence them. And she was one of the members of my inner circle. I was able to rely on her influence in order to exert my own as the senior program manager. All right, next, make an assessment on what weaknesses they might be augmenting of yours. What are they bringing to the table? Are those in your inner circle carbon copies of you? Or are they bringing something extra to the table that maybe you're not strong in? Remember, we attract who we are. So it's important to run this litmus test on the people in your inner circle. If you look around and all you see are others just like you, then you're in trouble. It's not only good to find your strengths, but also identify your weaknesses. Why? Because you want to find people who are strong where you're weak in order to fill in your gaps. When you combine all of the strengths of the team together, you're much stronger than a single person trying to do things alone. Surround yourself with people who share your vision and who support you, but can also augment you where you need help. Okay, now look at those in your inner circle and think about how they add value to others. Remember my talk about the funky math of leadership a few weeks ago? Maybe it was a month or so ago. In that discussion, I talked about how when we add as leaders, we multiply, but when we divide, we subtract. Well, it should be obvious which types of those people you need in your inner circle. What are some of the things the people in your inner circle are doing to lift others up? How do they add value to them? If you can't readily identify anything, start thinking about what they bring to the table to stay in your inner circle. And that actually brings me to a great place to make a point here. As we change and grow, our inner circle is going to do the same. It will change. And some people may remain in that inner circle while others get left behind. If the people in your inner circle aren't growing with you, they'll have to go without you. The circle of people that I have right now in my life are so different from the ones that I had just a few years ago. And as I look back on the differences, I can honestly tell you, yes, I was surrounding myself with people I liked and people that I was comfortable with. But then I really got intentional about who I was sharing my most precious resource with, my time. Our time is limited, and it really is a precious resource. So why would you just throw it away on just anyone? You want to give your time to those who support you and your dreams. They lift you up, not tear you down. They provide positive influence, not negativity. They mentor you and help you keep moving forward. If your current inner circle isn't doing that, it's time for a new inner circle. Maybe some of them are and some of them aren't. Then replace the ones who aren't. I know, I can hear it now, but I'm going to feel bad leaving them behind. Well, you know what? You're going to feel 10 times worse when you don't reach your dreams because you kept them in your inner circle and they kept you back. And that's exactly what will happen when you don't have the right people on your side close to you. John Maxwell actually calls these types of people lifters after a famous poem by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. I'll share a part of that poem with you right now. She wrote, "There are two kinds of people on earth today, just two kinds of people, no more, I say, not the good or the bad, for it's well understood, the good are half bad and the bad are half good. No, the two kinds of people on earth, I mean, are the people who lift and the people who lean." Get lifters in your inner circle. You'll need their support, and lifters will not bring you down. They will help you to improve yourself. And that is why they're important to have in your inner circle. Check that inner circle and see if they are lifters. So how many people do you need in your inner circle? Well, I would say it depends on how many weaknesses you're trying to strengthen. Where are you trying to go in life? You should have a person to help augment your weakness, but not everyone should be augmenting the same weakness of yours. You don't want them stepping on each other's toes. To function well as a team, you and your inner circle must function well together. So they should support each other and positively impact the others within the circle while complementing your weaknesses. Everyone should really have a complementary skill and also be compatible with one another. When you have a group or a team who clearly understands what each person's bringing to the table, that's when the team is at its strongest. Now, these are just a few things that you can use to size up the people in your inner circle. And of course, this isn't an all-inclusive list. You might have other things you want your people to have that are in your inner circle. That's great. You should know that, and you should use that as your litmus test for the people who are currently surrounding you. The main point is that if you're trying to increase your potential as a leader, you have to be intentional with your growth as a leader. But you also have to remember that nobody gets anywhere alone. If you agree with that, then you'll want to be sure to place the best people you can find in your inner circle. You've probably heard more times than you can count that quote by Jim Rohn that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You could also use the version, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I'm not totally sold on the idea that we're the average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with. It might be way bigger than that. Maybe you're the average of all the people who surround you. So take a look around and make sure that you're in the right surroundings. Your inner circle really is a reflection of your future, and you need to be more deliberate about who you're spending the most time with. Take a peek under the hood. Who's in your inner circle? What are they bringing to the table? How do they support you and others inside and outside of the inner circle? Answer these questions to become more intentional about whom you share your time. Okay, guys, I think that's going to do it for me this week. Please feel free to leave your thoughts and comments down below and let me know what you think. How is your inner circle? What weaknesses are they augmenting? And how are they supporting you in the pursuit of your dream? I really appreciate you guys jumping on another Weekly Roar. I'm going to ask you again that if you love this content, if you know somebody that wants to hear some more about this inner circle stuff, share this video out. I'm going to post a link to the video in another post in the Lion's Den, and that's the post that you can share out. And when you share it, if you share it, put a little comment up at the top why you're sharing it so people understand the context behind the share. All right. Thanks you guys so much. I'm going to be back here again next week, same place, same time, to speak about another concept in the foundations of leadership. Next week, I'm going to talk to you all about the importance of securing your insecurities. That's right. Getting comfortable with trusting those to execute the things that you delegate. All right, you guys, until next week, remember, be powerful, but stay poised, just like a lion. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Weekly Roar live event at lionenterprise.com. If you enjoyed this video, please tell others to join us each week here in the Lion's Den. Thanks again, and see you next week.